It's a brave new world out there, and we're just trying to figure out a great way to stay connected to all of our Free Footy family and everybody else that's out there. My name is Tim Adams. I'm the executive director of Free Footy and the founder, and I'm alongside
Adriana Martinez. I'm the marketing manager for Free Footy.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, we're just trying to figure out different ways to stay connected to our community and keep everyone connected in a time when it's a little bit scary out there. And that's okay to say that word scary when you're just confused and everything's changing. But there's lots of things that don't change. And what doesn't change is our relationship with you. And we just got to figure out a different way to keep that relationship going in the short term until everything settles out. So this is kind of the solution we've come up with, which is sort of running a bit of online training. Our first session at noon today was Pound Fit, which is like drumsticks, and it was super fun. We all used wooden spoons. Adriana, how did you find it?
It was great. I had so much fun. I've never seen that before. So super cool that they like put a twist on things. And I still have my wooden spoons with me. It was awesome. It was fun.
So we're going to move to our next session, and our next session is with a local basketball legend, actually an international basketball legend in lots of ways, and his name is Steve Sir, and we're going to bring him on right now.
Let's do this.
Let's do it.
Awesome.
Hey, Steve.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me.
How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Thanks for having me, guys. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. Good. Thanks for joining us from your house.
Well, thanks for having me. I've got
time. You're supposed to be in India, aren't you?
Yeah, we were supposed to be in India as of yesterday if everything had stayed a little bit more stable, and we would have been starting the Olympic qualifying games tomorrow. That took a little bit of a left turn, so we're here at home, but for the right reasons. It was getting a little bit questionable out there with travel as of a couple weeks ago, and as everybody can probably see, it's gotten a lot more complicated. So we were lucky that we were able to not have to hit the road and then come home. We were still at home when the travel warnings went up for that area of the world, and so we're here right now with family like everybody else, waiting to hear what's next.
Yeah, and tell us a little bit about why were you going to India? It was for the 3-on-3 Olympic qualifying. Just explain that a little bit to everybody.
For sure. Well, I play 3x3, which is professional 3-on-3, and this year in the 2020 Olympics, 3-on-3 was making its debut in Tokyo. So this was the first year that 3-on-3 was going to be a part of the Olympic Games. 3-on-3's been growing in the last few years as a more hybrid version of what everyone's used to with 5-on-5 basketball, and growing more in popularity. It's a game that's played oftentimes outdoors. It's a game that everyone's familiar with, and the style is very quick, very entertaining. Not a lot of rest. Short games with generally a lot of excitement in the game. So our team played on what's called the 3-on-3 World Tour last year as Team Edmonton. And through that, we were able to earn points for our country, which in turn helped us qualify to gain Canada a spot at the 20-country tournament that was going to be happening in India this week to qualify for the Olympics. Out of the 20 countries that qualified for it, you have to compete for 3 spots. The top 3 countries would advance to Tokyo, and we felt pretty good about our chances. So we're waiting to hear when things will calm down and start to get a little bit back to some sort of semblance of normal, and then hopefully they'll set a new date and we can still go wherever they decided to be and play as Team Canada and earn Canada a spot at the hopefully 2020 Olympics.
That's exciting. That must have put a huge smile on your face of knowing you're right in the hunt for going to the Olympics.
We're awfully close. We're one of the top 3-on-3 teams in the world. We played last year in 15 different countries. 3x3 is a sport that is played similar to how the tennis tour operates, where there's a variety of stops that you play at, that depending on your result, if you get a top 2 finish in certain tournaments, you then qualify to play in other tournaments. And oftentimes it's over a weekend. So you'll fly to a China or a Malaysia or a Cyprus or a Mongolia, and you'll play Saturday and Sunday, and then you'll maybe go to another tournament in the area, or you'll come home and wait to go to another tournament in a week or two. So we played in a variety of tournaments last year. We wound up winning a good amount of them and having good showings, and finished as one of, I think, as the 7th ranked team in the world. All our players are from Alberta. Myself, another guy from Edmonton named Jordan Baker, and then 2 guys from Calgary named Kyle Landry and Jordan Jensen White. So we are an Alberta raised and an Alberta representative team, and our goal was to be Team Canada, and we were fortunate enough to get that done, and we're awfully proud to represent our area of the country and the entire country at these events.
That's unreal.
Cool.
We were Googling before we joined you. We were Googling like, hey, what kind of fun video can we pull up on Steve? And I think we found a good one. It
Okay.
won't be scary. You don't have to be nervous about it. We're going to show it to everybody.
It's good.
Okay.
Video, if we can get Adriana to put it up. See if we can.
Yeah, I'm just gonna hide my.
Okay, there's the 2 of us.
Okay.
Bear with us. We'll see if we can find this video. There it is. It's coming.
Alright.
Now you know which one it is.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. This is unreal.
It's a good one, yeah.
It is a good one. The energy in it is good. Hopefully we can get it to play.
There it goes.
Okay. This is you setting a record, right?
So at every major 3-on-3 event that they have, there is games, and then they do other skill competitions for the players, one of them being the shootout. So the record for the shootout was 15 points heading into this stop. This was in Chengdu, China, back in last May. I'd come close to breaking the record of 15 points the previous year, so I had a little bit of a goal to set out that I was going to break it last year, and I was able to get it this time around.
That's unbelievable. And like it's unfortunate we can't hear the audio at the moment, but when you listen to the audio, it's pretty good. And the call, the guy who's doing the call on these videos is unreal as well. So if you have a chance to pull up that video at home, you can see Steve taking the world record in 3-point shooting. But today we are grateful that you're going to show us a little bit of skills. We talked about doing, like a 20-minute session that kids can do at home, really simple ball work. So if you don't have a basketball, just use any old ball. Doesn't matter what the ball is. And you and I coach together on Friday nights. Well, I just kind of watch you coach and try to assist in corralling kids. But we're going to work through some of the programs that we do on Friday nights together. And hopefully we can continue doing this. Maybe, hopefully not for too long, because we'll all get back to real life and playing in venues. But in the meantime, here's a great way for us to just work on some simple ball skills. And I guess you can speak to, just before you go, like how much of what you do as a player, as an athlete, as a leader is made up at home, is done at home. The hard work is done at home, in the backyard or in the basement or wherever it might be.
Well, yeah, Tim, I think what we're going to do today is really simple introductory stuff. Since this is our first time doing this, we want to make sure that we establish a good baseline where people feel comfortable just with the ball. And the great thing about this is whether you're an introductory player, someone that's just getting used to basketball, whether you're right in the thick of it and you feel like you're developing and learning, then it's always great to go back and touch on the basics. And even if you're someone who is a little bit older and has played at some different levels, you're never too advanced or you're never too far down the road for you to come right back to square one and work at all the simple stuff over and over and over again, because that's really the base and the foundation to what leads anybody to being good at anything. So if some of the stuff seems simple that we're doing, all I'd ask is that you push yourself a little bit further. If it's just challenging enough, then focus on making sure that we're accomplishing little goals within the drill. Trying to have a couple minutes where we keep it sustained. If we get 10 in a row, then let's maybe try and get 12 the next time. Finding ways to make the first workout feel positive, and then these are all things that we can also do when we're not here together. We can still do these types of things before we go to bed, when we wake up in the morning. Anything when we feel excited about basketball, the best thing you can do is just grab a ball and do stuff. And you don't need a lot of space. Doing it at home is the perfect place to start.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to give you the full screen.
Okay.
And fire away for like 5 minutes, and we'll check back in if anyone has any questions that they want to ask Steve. We'll pick up on some of your coaching points as we go, and then we'll do another little 5 minutes and keep repeating that. 5 minutes chat, 5 minutes chat. Okay,
So,
the floor is yours. Let's
all
do
right,
it.
thanks.
Online coaching. Here we go.
Here we go. All right, guys. So first we're going to start. We want to make sure that we have our basketball. Mine is a little bit quirky looking. This is the ball that we use for 3-on-3. You can tell it obviously from the unique markings. You can tell it from the writing on it. It says 3-on-3 on it, and it's got some waves on it. So mine looks a little bit different. But if you have a ball, any type of ball, that'll do the trick. So first what we're going to do, we're going to start real simple. We're just going to get used to having the ball in our hands. One of the things that always helps when we first pick up a basketball is instead of, if we're in a gym, rushing right behind the three-point line and, throwing the basketball right up against the rim, let's try and think about how we can start to get our hands engaged with the ball, have that good feel and that good comfort and confidence when we hold the basketball. So that's one of the good places to start. So if we're moving the ball from right hand to left, left hand to right, throwing it back and forth, just nice and soft, rolling it on our fingertips. So from here, we're going to make a little bit of noise. So hopefully no one's taking a nap in the house right now. So we're just going to give the ball a little slap, all right, with our left hand to our right, and then we're going to take with our left hand to our right again. We're going to give it a little slap. So we're just going to wake our hands up. Nice and simple, and we'll go back and forth, and we'll just make sure that while we're doing this, our fingers are getting woken up, our head's getting woken up too. We're thinking basketball. We're thinking about, hey, no matter what's going on, we got a chance to hold the basketball. We got a chance to do something with a sport that we really enjoy. Life's pretty good. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to have the basketball start right in front of our chest, and we're going to have it passing back and forth on our fingertips. So I'll break this down real quick. We want to have these be what control the basketball. These things right here, our fingertips and our finger pads. In this case, we want to be using our fingertips. All right, so we're going to pass the ball back and forth on our fingertips, and we're going to have that nice soft touch with the ball and that nice soft control. If it's too quick, then we can go like this, and we can just keep passing it back and forth with a close grip on the ball. Once we feel more comfortable with that, we can make sure that we're doing this, passing it back and forth, okay? Now, when we feel comfortable, let's try and drop our hands straight down and trying to keep that basketball going on the fingertips the same way as we had it when it was right in front of our chest. All right, this is a great way to get the fingers just feeling good about how we touch the ball, how we're moving the basketball, and how we control the ball. I think for everybody who's dribbled the basketball before, we know that we always do a lot better when we feel in control. It's a lot harder to bounce that ball when the basketball is all over the gym or it's all over the playground or things like that. When we're in control of the ball, we're all better basketball players. We're definitely feeling confident. So let's bring it back up to our chest, and let's straighten our arms. Let's see if we can get our arms nice and straight and still keep that basketball in control. All right? So what we'll do is we'll drop the basketball back down again, and then we're going to lift it back up. So what we want to try and do, and we can do this at our own pace, okay? That's the great thing about this. You don't have to go too fast, but if you don't want to go at a pace you were going at the start, then you can speed it up. So we're just going to go up and down, and the trick is we want to try and keep that ball in the fingertips and not moving all over the place, traveling a nice straight line up and down our body. All right, nicely done. So here's what we're going to do now, guys. We're going to wrap the ball around our waist. Real simple. And I know everyone maybe has done some sort of version of this before, but what we want to try and do is have the hands meet in the middle, or in the front, excuse me, and the hands meet in the back. Hands meet in the front, hands meet in the back. And then from there, once we have a good rhythm with our basketball, we can start to speed it up. All right, we can start to speed it up. Same type of thing. When that basketball is moving, it's great to be in control of it. All right. Now let's see if we can try and switch it the other direction. Excellent. Good, guys. Now if we can get real daring, let's see if we can close our eyes for a second while we do it. Just to look for a couple reps. See if we can have that basketball still meet those hands at the same spot, even when the eyes are closed. If we're feeling awful good about that, let's try and switch while the eyes are closed. All right. Let's take those eyes back open again. Good. Okay. Now from here, hopefully I can fit this in the video. We're going to keep our chest up a little bit, and we're going to try and go around our knees. Our feet are going to be together, okay? Feet are together. Head is still up. I'll move my camera too, just like Coach Tim. And then this way, that basketball is down by our feet. Same type of thing. We want to work to try and control it even when the basketball is in a bit of a different position. So if we've been going one direction, let's try and switch and go back the other way. All right, from here, what we're going to do is we're going to take our feet apart and we're going to pick the right leg. Okay, so we're going to have a nice wide stance. All right, and then from here, we're going to pick our right leg. We're going to start wrapping it around the right knee. If it's just a little bit below the knee, that's all right. Same thing as before. Going at your pace to start. We want to make sure that we have a good rhythm with the basketball. And if we can start to speed it up once we feel comfortable, then that's perfect. All right, but again, same type of thing. Our pace to begin. Let's try and switch the direction. So if we were going one way, let's try and trade it out. We're going to go the other way. All right. Now from there, we're going to reach across. We're going to do the other leg. Whatever we do with ball handling, guys, the best thing that we can pay attention to is if we do something with our right hand, we want to try and make sure that we probably do the same thing with our left. So if I'm doing stuff around my right leg, or if I'm dribbling with my right hand and I'm really, really good at it, then I got to make sure that I probably spend the same amount of time or maybe even more so I start to feel more comfortable with my weak hand. I'm a right-handed player, so I had to work a lot on making sure that my left hand worked too. So if we're doing this around the right leg, then let's make sure we do our left. So let's change direction again around that leg. Let's get a few more turns around our leg. All right, so we'll bring you back to center. And this last one we're going to do, probably before we take a break in a minute, is we're going to do a figure eight. So that means we're going to go around the right leg and then back to the middle, hands meet, and we're going to go around our left. So we're going to wrap it through like an 8. Same thing, hands meet, bring it around, hands meet. All right, so the hand trades, meets in the back, bring it around, meets in the back. So we're going to start to pick it up as we get more comfortable with the movement. Okay, and once we start to feel confident with it, we can start to speed it up. Now, I'm sure everybody's done similar drills like this, but what I've found is no matter what drill you're doing, you usually only get out of it what you put into it. So if we decide to start going really fast and really test how quick we can go with this, it starts to get pretty tough. So let's switch directions. Let's bring the ball back behind our leg and meet in the front again. Behind our leg, and the basketball is wrapping around behind instead of in front now. We're still doing a figure 8, but now this time the basketball is going around the back of our leg. So we can try and speed this up again, try and make it a little bit faster and a little bit more challenging at our own pace. If we can even try and get our eyes up where we're not looking at the basketball, that might be something that we progress to. But that's a great way to work on controlling the ball, guys, is making sure that we're trusting our hands and we're trusting what we do with the basketball and not having to look at it the entire time. It's a good way to challenge yourself. If we lose the ball, guys, then that's okay. That means that we're trying to push ourselves. That means we're trying to be outside our comfort zone. And that's usually where we make a lot of improvement, is when we're losing the ball. It means we're probably trying awfully hard to try something new. If we're always in control of the ball, then we're probably playing it a little bit too safe. So here's what we'll do. Hopefully the screen can catch me. We're going to wrap it around our waist, and we're going to go through our legs. Wrap it around our waist one time, pick a direction, and go the other way. Around, 1, 2. Around, 1, 2. So if we can make this a little bit faster, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, around our waist, figure 8, figure 8, around our waist, figure 8, figure 8, 1, 2. We can throw a couple more in there if you want to be creative. It's the great thing about ball handling in basketball is you can usually have a drill, but if you feel like being creative with it, there's not a lot holding you back from just trying to see what you can get away with. 1, 2, 1, 2. All right. Pretty out of breath. Self-isolation stuff really wears you down.
We promised we would take a break after like 5 minutes. Are you tired already?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All this, Adriana and I were watching, be like, wow, this is pretty impressive. So much of it is dependent on just the dexterity of your hands, right?
Very much so. I mean, I think when you start to get a little technical with it,
yeah,
a lot of it is just being able to move and manipulate the basketball and having the hand trust that it's going to go and get it. It's going to go and get it. The older we get, and the better players that we become, and the things that we see, you can always tell with good players is their hands just go and get the ball. If the ball's in an awkward spot, guys and girls are always trying to figure out some way to catch it, some way to grab it and bring it back to home. That just comes with time. And I even just as simple as doing drills like this when we're learning the game of always making sure that if the ball's going one way and I feel like I might lose it, that other hand's going to go grab it and make sure that's still secure.
How much do I think one of the questions that like kids would have is how often would you do something like this as a pro still?
As a pro, every once in a while, I wouldn't do it as much as I used to.
Yeah.
Maybe once or twice a week. In situations like this, where we're spending time at home, I'm going to try and do it every day. When I was growing up, I read a book about a really good basketball player who made these drills famous. His name was Pistol Pete Maravich. And him and his dad made these drills famous. And he became so good at them that it was like watching a robot. He was so quick with the basketball and it was so effortless at times. So I was 15. So what I decided to do, because I wasn't a great dribbler at that time, I was really great. I was really strong at shooting.
Yeah.
Dribbling is what I had to get better at. So in my parents' basement, this would be part of my routine. I drew a little routine on some sticky notes and I stuck them on my desk. And when I came home at night, I'd jump rope and I'd run up and down my parents' stairs. And I'd also do the wrap around my waist, do my figure eights, do all these little things to make sure that I was more comfortable with the ball. And over time, I got better at ball handling and I got more comfortable dribbling the ball. But then too, if you weren't doing it at night, you'd start to feel itchy, or you'd start to feel like you weren't getting your job done. So you'd have to get up and do it. And the great thing is you need 10 minutes. You need 10 minutes. You need very little amount of space. So, I'd say as simple as those things, you can get a lot done, and it doesn't seem like a crazy amount of work.
And it has I think the thing that people wrestle with too a lot of times is it has a practical application. Like you use this on the court.
Yeah, there are times when people want to take it too literal and they say, well, you're never going to wrap the basketball around your leg in a game. You say, sure, but you might dribble between your legs in a game, and your hand has to push it through the legs, and then the other hand has to get it. And it's the same thing as this, is where you wrap a ball around your leg and doing a figure eight, and your hand in the front has to push it through, and your hand in the back has to secure it. So I think sometimes we get a little bit ahead of ourselves because everything's a progression. We got to start learning somewhere. We don't immediately go right to dribbling between our legs with the defender in front of us. We got to make sure that we got to know how to be comfortable with the basketball first. And what better place to get comfortable and experiment and gain some confidence than at home and in a safe place.
Totally. Okay. All right. Have you caught your breath?
I did. I'm still dying, but no, I'm ready to go.
Are you ready for your next 5 minutes?
Yeah, ready for the next 5 minutes.
Okay, if you see me pop up again in this seated position, that's like, hey, we can take a break and chat again.
All right, sounds good.
Awesome. Thank you. Take it away.
My pleasure, guys. Okay, so here's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to do everyone a big favor. We're going to sit down for this one. All right, so everyone's going to take a spot on the floor. I'm going to move my camera. All right, and here's what we're going to do. Real simple stuff. Sticking with our fingertips, sticking with keeping the ball in control. All right, we're going to have our legs apart like this. All right, first things first, basketball is going to be right in the middle. All right, really, really simple. Now, we're going to focus on keeping the basketball on this area of the hand. Fingers, maybe even onto the pads. We're trying to keep the basketball off of our palm, all right? We don't want to be slapping the basketball straight-handed like this. We kind of want to have a little bit of a bend in our hand. Nice loose wrist. So if everyone was to take their wrist, shake it out,
Hey, can you
back
hear me?
and forth. That's what we want to have to do with our dribbles. Nice loose wrist.
I guess you didn't get the message from the kids, hey?
So we're going to do this with our hands. We're going to use both at the same time. We're going to go right, left, right, left, right, left. All right, so we're just going to get the ball bouncing nice and slow. And it's just like playing a drum. Tap, 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 tap. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. All right, we're using all 5 fingers to start. Okay? And we're just trying to keep that ball bouncing. Same type of thing as we said before, guys. You want to try and take it at your pace. If we can go faster, then we can speed it up. But there's no pressure to do that right away. All right? For me, I started doing these drills when I was a teenager. I'm much older than a teenager now, so I've had time to learn how to do these things. The first time I did it, I wasn't great at it. But the great thing is, if my mom and dad didn't yell down at me to tell me to stop because it was making everybody else in the house nuts, you can do these for quite a while and you're not really killing yourself. So we're going to just switch to our right hand. All right? We're going to keep that ball bouncing with our right hand. Little dribbles, same type of thing. If we have to go a little bit slower and keep the dribble a little bit higher, that's okay. All right? Same type of idea as we talked about before. If we lose the basketball, that's all right. If we're keeping the basketball in a good rhythm, that's good too. We just want to make sure that we're building confidence with the basketball. We want to make sure that our fingers are doing the right things while we're dribbling the basketball. We don't want to be slapping at it like this. All right? That's when the basketball starts to get a little bit away from us. We want to make sure that when we're dribbling, we're the ones that are in charge of the basketball. It's our ball and we're not going to lose it. Okay, so we're going to go to our left hand now. Same thing as we said before. If we're going to do something with the right hand, we got to make sure that we spend some time doing it with the left. All right, we got to make sure that both hands are able to really handle that basketball, dribble the basketball, and feel comfortable with the basketball. Okay? All right, so now we've gotten some decent time. We've had right hand, we've had left hand. So let's go back to both hands again. What we're going to do here is make it a little bit more challenging. We'll go back to our right hand, and we're going to use just 2 fingers. These 2 fingers, first finger and then our middle finger, we're going to use them together like this, like railroad tracks. We're going to be hitting the basketball just with those 2. So tap, 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 trying to control the basketball. Sometimes when we take away some fingers when we're doing this, it makes it a little bit easier when we put all 5 of them back on. All right, so we have a good rhythm and we feel comfortable with these 2. This is tough now. So if we haven't gotten a bunch in a row yet, that's okay. If we got 5 or 6 and we've never done this before, then those are 5 or 6 good reps. All right? Let's try and move to 3 now. We're going to take these 3 fingers and we're going to get that ball bouncing. All right? So the same type of thing. 3 fingers keeping the ball bouncing, trying to stay in control of the ball. So when we're doing this, guys, if it's frustrating, then that's normal. All right? I'm pretty sure everybody who's played basketball before knows that it doesn't really go perfect the first time, just like anything. But the cool thing is, I bet if everybody here, today's Tuesday, I bet if everybody here spent 5 minutes minutes today, 5 minutes tomorrow, 5 minutes the next day. I bet on Sunday it'd be totally different, completely different. But that's the biggest thing with hoops, guys, is if we're consistent with it and we start to make some habits and we start to really do it day after day after day, all of a sudden we're so much better. We're a little bit better like this every day, and then this little bit becomes that. So we're going to go back to all 5 fingers. I'd be curious if anybody feels like it's a little bit easier now when we have all 5 fingers on the basketball than when we were just using it with 2. Now, like we said before, let's switch it back over to our left. We're going to use these 2 fingers, all right? These 2 fingers. And we're going to control the basketball. Once we feel like we've gotten a good rhythm with that, let's add our third. Now, for all of us righties, I'm a righty, this is a little bit more challenging. But sometimes that's the fun part with the dribbling, is it gets challenging, and you got to figure out just how far you can put yourself. You got to figure out just how far you can go until it starts to get uncomfortable. And then the next time we do it, we get right back to that point, see if we can push it just a little bit further. All right, we're going to use, I got a little guest here.
You got a guest.
I got a little guest here. This is Lila. Say hi.
Hi.
So we're going to bring it all the way back to both hands real quick to finish, to see if we have some comfort with the basketball that we didn't even have a couple minutes ago. And if we can finish with something quick, let's see if we can finish as best as we can with 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, guys.
Amazing.
Not bad.
That's so amazing. It sounds like,
Yeah.
it literally sounds like music.
Yeah, a little bit of a drum.
Hi.
Can you say hi?
Hi.
How are you?
People are watching. Can you say hi? How
We're
are you?
all watching.
Good?
We're watching your dad be awesome. I was just thinking like the whole time, how did you get to that? Like,
Pardon me, Tim?
How did you get to that point where you were able to move the ball so quickly, so fluidly like that? Like, what's the practice?
It was one of those things where when you're doing it and you're younger, you feel like, like I feel like I'm getting better at it, but I'm not quite sure. And then all of a sudden you start to experiment a little bit, and you start to, yeah.
That's normal.
And then what's that?
I said, this is life now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the way it is all the time now.
Yeah.
So I think what it was is a patience that you have to try and develop, that will come with bumps and will come with frustrations, where you feel like I'm doing this a lot, I'm not improving the way that I thought I would, or I'm not improving as quickly as I thought I should, given the time I'm putting in. And when you're thinking that way, what I found is it's never going to be good enough. Even the small bits of improvements that you have just never really equal or amount to what you think you should be getting back. The second you forget about that, because if these become your habits, then you stop thinking that way. They just become what you do.
Yeah.
I found that the second that's not part of what you're thinking anymore, you look up or you have somebody else come in and watch and they go, holy smokes, that's gotten a lot better. And with the age that we live in now, with being able to video things and really going back to be able to visually document things, what I think would be cool is if you took a video of someone right now and then had them do it for every day for 5 minutes and then took a video in a month, I think they'd probably be blown away by how much better they've gotten if they did it for 5 minutes every day. I found that for me, that was really good. What's that, Tim?
We put just a little ticker at the bottom of the screen saying, send us your video. Send us a video today.
Absolutely.
Send us a video in a week and send us a video in 2 weeks, and let's see how we can do.
Absolutely. Because, the cool thing about it, and what I found is in the world of basketball, and I know it's the same with everything, is when you're doing a practice, there's pressure on it, like, well, I want to do something new, because doing the same stuff can be boring and repetitive.
Yeah.
For me, what I found is if you're not doing some of the similar things, or at least having progression shown, how are you going to know if you're improving? Like if everything's new and you're always trying to figure out the nuances of it, and then the next day it's like, oh man, we're not doing any of the stuff I've busted my back trying to learn. And it's just this constant bit of like, I don't feel like I'm grasping it. So I've always liked the idea of like, if I can do a drill, layer it a little bit, and then be able to come back in a couple of days and like feel like, you know what, I've improved a little bit at this because I've really focused on trying to drive it home to become habit. Then you start to see some growth, and that's when things get awfully exciting. Because when you're improving, it's like, holy smokes, I'm getting it. And then when you get into a groove of seeking out challenges to improve and not worrying about whether or not it's going to be quick, just whether or not it's going to push me, then you're in that sweet spot of I'm going to improve a lot.
For sure. Repetition, repetition, repetition.
Yep, very much so.
Are you okay to show us one more?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, let's do one more.
Okay.
Thank you.
You bet, man. All right, guys. So we're going to hop back on our feet. We had our time sitting down. Hope it was good for everybody. And we're going to hop back up on our feet. So now what we're going to do is we're going to try and put the ball on the floor. All right? So hopefully the video will catch this. So what we want to try and talk about first is our stance. Now this is where it gets a little bit boring, but I'm sure everybody who's played basketball before has heard about being in a defensive stance, where our feet are apart. I'm going to use my video. Feet are apart like we're in a chair, okay? We don't have our feet real close. We don't want to have our feet way out here, all right? Like we're sitting in a chair. Good thing is I got the couch right behind me. I can sit down. This is what I want to do. Why? Because I want to be in a position of power. I want to be in a position of strength. And what everyone's found is when they're playing basketball, when our feet are shoulder width, maybe hip, that's when we're nice and strong. So when we're in a defensive stance, our hips go back. We want to talk a lot about our hips, not bending necessarily at our knees and falling forward. We want to have our butt go back and have our hips go back. Now we're strong. Chest is up, so we're in a good stance. The same thing can be said for offense, guys. If we're playing defense in a defensive stance, it sometimes doesn't get talked about. We got to be in a stance on offense. All right? Athletic position, ready to play. So this would be called our triple threat position. The reason they call it a triple threat position is there's three things that we can do out of this position. One, when I get the basketball, I want to make sure that I can do one of three things. When I catch it, I can shoot. All right? So that's one. Two, when I catch it, I can pass. That's my second. And then three, like we've been working on, when I catch it, I can put it down on the ground and I can dribble. Okay? So triple threat. Big thing about triple threat is not just catching it and being straight-legged and not in a place to play. Those things work. Those three things work when I'm in a position to play ball. All right? So now I'm in my triple threat. All right? Chest is up so I can see everything in front of me. Eyes are hopefully up too, so see what I'm working with. All right? And then from there, we're going to start with our right hand. All we're going to do is, while in our triple threat, hips back like we're sitting in our chair, we're just going to start our bounce. Okay? Hopefully this doesn't get anybody in trouble at home. But we're going to start our bounce. We're keeping it at about waist level. All right? Nice and simple. And then from there, as we feel more comfortable with it, if we want to add a little bit of speed to it, we can put some speed behind it. All right? Now, important thing is, this is okay for a minute or two. It starts to get hard to stay in our stance. So that's part of our challenge. Can I catch back while we do this? All right? Can I make sure that while I'm dribbling, doing a simple thing like this, that I'm doing all the little things that make me that much better at basketball? All right, so we're going to switch to our left hand. All right, same type of thing. Chest is going to be up. Hips are going to be back. All right? All that good stuff to make sure that I'm in a stance and that I'm in a
pretty good though.
basketball player. All right? Put our hands right and left. So real simple now, we're just going to pass it back and forth. We're going to cross over. Right to left, back and forth. Seeing if we can stay in our stance. Now if we want to get some speed with it, we can start to get it a little bit quicker, however we want. All right, same type of thing. We want to make sure that we're taking it at the pace that we feel comfortable with, and then once that pace becomes good for us, we can speed it up just a bit. This is our first workout today on the Free Footy platform, so we want to make sure, hey, I'm walking away from it feeling like I've improved just a bit. Even if it's just an inch, that's a good day if we improve just a little bit. All right, now what we're going to do, we're going to take the dribble with our right hand, put it into our left. Take the dribble right hand, put it into our left. Right hand to left hand to right hand. All right, so we're changing hands. We're staying in our stance. We're keeping those eyes up. All right, we're making sure that we're forming those habits, and when we're playing basketball, we can see what's up in front of us. Nothing happens down here when we're playing. Everything's happening up here. All right, let's see if we can add 2 dribbles and change the hand. 2 dribbles, change the hand. 2 dribbles, change the hand. Start getting a nice rhythm with it. Boom, boom, change. Boom, boom, change. Now we're going to talk about this if we get to do this again. Making sure that we keep strength in our dribble. All right, we don't want to be soft with our dribble, especially when we're alone by ourselves. A great thing to try, and hopefully I don't lose the basketball and break one of my wife's lamps, is we want to make sure that we try and dribble the basketball hard. We want to make sure that we push it into the ground, and especially when we're practicing, we want to make sure that we're going outside of our comfort zone like we talked about before. So if I'm doing this, I'm playing it pretty safe. If I go boom, boom, and change my hand. Boom, boom, change my hand. 1, 2, change my hand. 1, 2, change my hand. All right? Now all of a sudden, it gets a little bit tougher. We'll go back to 1. Pop, 1. Pop, change. Pop, change. Pop, change. Good, guys. All right. We'll come out of our stance. Now, if you were in your stance that whole time, that's like 3-4 minutes straight of sitting in your chair. That starts to wear you down a little bit. And if we're really working that dribble, shoulder starts to get tired, wrist starts to get tired, and we get a nice little bit of burn while we're doing our dribbling.
I'm impressed, man.
That's okay.
This is all new to all of us, right? Like to coach virtually. I just think I was really impressed. Adriana, how did you feel?
I got so thirsty watching you.
Yeah, I forgot to bring my water bottle into the room, so probably a rookie mistake.
Yeah. No,
Really-
it's good. That's how we're gonna move. You know, the one thing I wanted to ask you about the dribbling, though, like compared to when I grew up sort of dribbling at basketball, is like the amount of force you're putting into each dribble. Like for me, it's pretty passive, but for you, it's a pretty like sturdy bounce. Every bounce like seems to have a lot of aggression in it almost.
Yeah, when I got to college, I had a really great assistant coach. I played at 2 different schools. I played at San Diego State in San Diego, California for a year, and then I transferred to Northern Arizona in Flagstaff in Arizona. And I had a great assistant coach in San Diego named Greg Gottlieb, and he spent a lot of time with me. And one of the things that he said I need to improve at was the strength of my dribble. So we would before every workout that we did, he'd have me just on the baseline, same thing, lower than I would play in a game, really sitting down. And he'd say, okay, you got to get 100 dribbles each hand. So you got 25 a hand. And it would just be boom, 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 change over, boom, 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 boom. And he'd come around and he'd give you a little shove from the back or give you a little shove from the side, making sure like I'm staying low, staying balanced, staying strong. And he'd hit your wrist while you're dribbling, like someone's bugging you. And then it was the same thing like we just did, dribble, crossover. You have to get 50 each hand. Then it was 2 dribbles, crossover, 2 dribbles, crossover. You have to get 50 each hand. You do that, it probably took 6 or 7, 8 minutes. And if you did that as hard as it was when you had a coach with you, you were drenched by the time the workout was. And that was your warm-up. And we had like 5 or 6 drills that he really hit with me for weeks and weeks through that whole, especially fall when I first got to college. And it made a huge difference. And for anyone that is curious about what happens, like playing Division I or playing pro, this is the stuff that guys at that level do. It's not secret things. It's not fancy drills, especially in the beginning. It's fundamental stuff, making sure that the smallest detail is hammered home time and time and time. And if you're not doing it, they jump right on you and say, you have to do it. And it's not negotiable. It's you have to do it. And the only way you get good at it is by doing it over and over and over again. So from that end of it, it helped me. And then the last thing I would tie it to is I saw Steve Nash dribble when I was in college. The Phoenix Suns came into training camp in Flagstaff where we were at, and I saw him do his dribbling routines, and it was out of this world. Like it's difficult to even put into words. But two, that's all he did. He pounded that back. He looked like he was going to lose it, and he lost it all the time. And for people that weren't really getting what he was doing, I was saying, like, man, Steve Nash is the MVP. He loses the ball all the time. Why is that? Do you ever see him lose it in the game? No, because in practice, he's pushing himself so far out what side, how comfortable he is, that it's just to improve. And then he brings it back, and you can just see it's on a string. So you see those types of things, and you realize, like, man, it's not about fancy drills that, guys keep secret or things like that. It's just doing the small things over and over and over again until you become awfully good at them, and then finding some new way to improve on it.
There's so much value in that, like the understanding that the basics get you so far, doing the basics well over and over and over again, and then keeping your eyes open for those few moments where you get the chance to watch Steve Nash at the corner of a court, and just pick up that little moment of noticing the difference between what he's doing and what everybody else is doing.
Totally.
I think that's what we're doing here. Honestly,
I think so.
Your knowledge and your privilege of playing in this game for so long and all the experiences you've had to this community of hopefully of free footy kids, but everybody beyond that of, hey, like we're in a time of what's difficult, but these fundamentals and these basics, you just did them on your living room floor with your daughter running around. So why does anyone else have an excuse, right?
Totally. I mean, the thing that I always found cool with guys when I was young, and I was impressionable and looking for anything to follow, was the guys that were good always seemed to do a lot of the same things. And then they would throw the little bit extra to be that challenge. And then you'd see them a couple weeks later, and it's like, oh, that thing that they weren't great at, they're all of a sudden getting good at. And then it was something else, like the constant seeking out challenges is something that I think anybody who's good at anything is, for lack of a better word of describing it, is hungry for. Is you're always chasing the new way to be challenged. Yeah. That said, you never really stray that far from the base of where your house is built to say, like, I know that, like, if I'm struggling, I got to go back to this. If I'm doing really well, it's because of this, and I have to keep doing it. So you see a guy like Steve Nash at that time, who was at the height of his powers, at the height of his popularity, best player in the world, and he's off in the corner, and he's not doing it for Instagram. Instagram wasn't around back then, and he's not doing it for the fans. He's literally doing it like, I got to get 15 good minutes of dribbling in. I'm going to go over to the corner. I'm going to dial in. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to get frustrated. I'm going to lose the ball. I might even kick it, but I'm going to get through my routine. And then 3 days later, you're going to see him doing the same thing again. And you go, man, he's the best player in the world, and he's even better now. So you're 100% right, Tim. It's the repetition. It's being consistent. And then it's finding little ways to try and improve while also giving yourself a pat on the back and saying, like, you know what, I'm getting there. It's small, but I'm getting there.
It's okay to go back to the basics. I think you mentioned that, of like, if you get frustrated, just go back to the basics. Start from the beginning and then progress, and then start from the beginning again. That's okay. That's okay.
That's why having a routine is so key, because if you begin, like, I've had the same shooting routine since I was 15. I saw a guy named Jay Triano talk about shooting. I was already a very good shooter. He talked about form shooting, be getting right by the basket. I added that. My shot got way more consistent. I became a great shooter. And when I did it, I was like, well, there's no reason that I would ever not do it. And that's been my routine for 22 years. So when things are good, I know it's because I believe it's because of that. When things are bad, I got to go back to that, and I got to trust it that it's just going to help it get better. So you're 100% right. The routine, the fundamental stuff, the simple things done very well, that's what really guides your ship.
Awesome.
This side.
You.
Hi.
You recognize that?
Yeah.
So, okay, Arlie walked into the room. Let's focus on, like you always do at the end of Friday night sessions, like one piece of homework people can do at home. And then how about, like we said, we ask people to send a video of them doing the homework. And
100%.
maybe we'll come up with a little bit of a prize for people who do the homework and we see a bit of progression, make something fun out of it, a bit of a challenge. So what's the one thing that we can like focus on for the next few days?
I'd say let's, since it's simple and we don't need too much stuff to start with, let's start with our figure eights. I know that requires us going around both legs, but I think let's progress to it. If we go around the waist, we work down to the feet. For everyone just who needs the reminder on what the figure eight is, legs are apart like this. We're going to go around, hand meets in the back around one leg, and then we're going to come back and hands are going to switch now, and we're going to go around to the other leg, and then we start to make an 8. Okay? So we're going to do that. And then if we feel like we're really confident one way, then let's switch it and let's go the other way. All right? Same thing like we talked about today. If we're doing something with the right hand, we have to make sure that we're doing the same thing, dribbling with the left hand. So if we go one direction, we got to make sure that we're going back around so we can be able to do both. I'd say let's do our figure eights. That'd be a good place to start.
Yep.
I bet if everybody does that, if they say, hey, I'm going to try and get 10 without dropping the ball, I'm going to try and get 20 without dropping the ball. And then all of a sudden you're going, hey, it's been 3 days and I'm getting 50 without dropping the ball. It does progress like that, guys. And I might even be able to get a little bit quicker with it. You're going
Okay,
to improve on quick.
awesome. Figure eights. Let's progress it. Send us a video. You can send it through Facebook or Twitter or whatever the platform that you're on. Send it to us. And then when Steve is back next week, maybe we'll show him some of those videos. And he can give you a little bit of feedback on them live, which would be super fun. Once again, I just want to say a huge thank you to Steve for joining us. He was the second guinea pig experiment, and I thought it went really well, actually. Like,
Yeah, awesome.
It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot just about you and your character and what it
Thanks.
takes to accomplish something. And I'm relieved and feel really humbled to know that so much of it is about the work. It's about putting in the work and it's about character. And we always talk about that stuff, but like for it to resonate so much with you and to see it is pretty powerful. So thank you once again.
Thank
And
you, guys.
we'll make sure to let people know when you're going to come back.
Absolutely. I can't wait to be back, guys. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
See you. We're just